In this video, I just wanted to touch a little bit on the operating system evidence. Sometimes users will call, or friends or relatives or whoever will call and say, my computer's acting funny. And you're the computer guy, or they hear you're taking a class in cybersecurity or in IT, and they want you to fix their computer or investigate. And the typical question or response back to that is, well, what do you mean it's acting funny? Is it slow? Is there pop-ups on the screen? What is happening? And so I just want to take a little bit of time of maybe some uh, of showing you a few things you could take a look at when someone says, "Hey, my computer is operating funny or slowly or whatever it happens to be." So the first thing is malicious processes. If you don't know how to pull up your processes, you can go to the task manager. It's one particular way to do that. So I'm just right clicking on my taskbar down low, going to task manager, and this will pull up a wide variety of things. I'll maximize it here. The first thing I see is a list of processes. So all of the processes that are being used along with their CPU, memory, disk, and network utilization are being shown here. Now, what I like to do is just kind of scan through this and get an idea of, what the system is doing. Now, this usually takes a little bit of experience and a little bit of know-how and a lot of Google research sometimes to know what this stuff is. But if there's something that doesn't look quite right to you, like that you don't have that installed on your computer, or it's a bunch of random characters, you probably want to maybe do a little bit of extra investigation with it. Now, there's two sets of processes that you're going to see here. The first set of processes are applications that are running, and the second set of processes are Windows processes in terms of like the operating system. Um, so where is that delineation here? I'm going to go back here, reload this processes, and I'm going to do it by name. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So I have applications that are currently running. Camtasia Recorder, it's how I'm recording this video. Google Chrome, and then Task Manager. Then it's got background processes. So this has a couple of things with Adobe. Now, if I don't have Adobe installed, then I should probably be questioning, why is there Adobe Collaboration Synchronizer running? What is that actually for? Is this some sort of rogue process that's trying to make itself look like Adobe? And because of that, I'm not sure what that is. And I would do some investigation or maybe check my computer inside of the installed apps to see if I actually have an Adobe. What if it's something I have no idea what it is, like this DAX API? This is running twice. What I would probably do is just go out to Google and type DAX API process and do a little bit of research on it. This is just a Reddit post. See what they come up with. Something to do with Adobe. And so I would investigate, do I have something with Dolby on here? I actually believe that I do. Yeah, it's the Dolby Access app, and that's what it is. And then I'm just, quickly doing some research here. I would probably do a little bit more research. But if you think you're infected, if you think your computer's operating slowly, if you're experiencing, weird things, check out those processes. One could potentially be malware that is running. Again, do your research to figure that out. Another thing I like to do along those same lines is there is something called msconfig. Just doing a quick search for msconfig. It's a system configuration. What this will do for you is show all of the things that start on boot. And so these are all various services that start on boot. And I can see in here when the computer starts up what's going to be running. Some pieces of malware will inject themselves in this startup. Okay, so that's not what we want to have happen. So if I notice something in here that looks a little fishy, it's not from a known manufacturer, I would want to do some research with it. And maybe I want to go into my apps and potentially remove it. So sometimes you could have installed an application, like these coupon applications are notorious for it. Or maybe you downloaded, this happened to me one time, I downloaded an application so I could edit videos, and that video editor that I downloaded happened to have malware attached to it. So I had to come into my applications find that and then remove it. So they're a little tied together. Is the applications, the processes, those startups. You want to take a look and see if there's anything that doesn't look quite right. In this particular section, I really like to look at the manufacturer because that's harder to spoof because this is typically coming from a certificate that was attached to the software when it was installed, and certificates are difficult to spoof. So here's an unknown one. It says it's the VMware Auto Start service, but there's also a VMware up here. I do know that this is a good program on my computer, or a service, I should say. But I would question that right away. Why? What is the VMware Auto Start service? Why does it have an unknown manufacturer? Um, is that potentially slowing down my computer? Is that potentially malware? What is going on with that? There's a little bit more detailed Process Explorer out there called Process Explorer. Right now it's version 17 from their sysinternals. With this, you can download it, and I'll just go ahead and do it and run it. And this shows me in a little bit more detail all of the processes that I have running. Something else we want to be a little aware of or concerned of is spawned processes. So typically, if you open up, for example, let's say Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word shouldn't be spawning other processes and things up with it. There are a couple, but it shouldn't be spawning up like a command prompt. It shouldn't be spawning up like PowerShell and those sorts of things. In my next video for the next chapter, I'm going to show that a little bit with some hybrid analysis, and that would be a potential indicator of compromise. And so I won't get into it in this video, but spawn processes, what did this particular service or process spawn up? Well, it spawned up task host and power management and whatever this Realtek audio is, I'm assuming that is Microsoft Edge Updater. So this particular service then spawned up these. Now, is that normal? Is it not normal? Again, that kind of comes with experience. Um, I know some of this stuff is good because I've seen it before. If you're new to computing and you're new to the Windows operating system, you might not have any clue. And so that would just be something you would kind of have to investigate a little bit. And with time and with experience, you would have a pretty good idea of whether these services are legit and whether or not you've seen them. Now, it's very helpful to have a computer that is clean and that is good. And so sometimes what I like to do is use VMware. And with VMware, I will have a brand new, fresh, clean installed operating system. So here's Windows 11. And what I could do with this is I could power it up. And this Windows 11 machine is a fresh, clean install. I could pull up the Process Explorer with that. And then I could compare that to what the computer currently has running. Oops. And if I notice a discrepancy, hey, I have potential malware, or I know just to pinpoint or investigate the things that are different between the cleanly installed operating system and what I'm seeing with my machine. So that is an option for you as well. VMware Player or Workstation is free. I'm gonna just pause this. Going back to the curriculum, it talks about abnormal OS behavior, process behavior, file system changes, changes to registry, unauthorized scheduled tasks, unauthorized changes. Where can you find some of that? Some of that can be found in the event viewer. If you're not familiar with the event viewer, what the event viewer does is it keeps track of basically everything that happens on the machine. So under Windows logs is where I like to start, and under the application, it's going to all be things related to applications. When an application got installed, when it started, when it stopped, did it crash, did it do something on the machine, or the system. All of those different things. Here's my Panopto recorder and that I've used, and when did it start up, and when did I use it, and all these different things are associated with the application. So maybe there's an application in here that you've never seen before, and it's doing something that could be a potential indicator of compromise. Security. What the security event is for is successful logins, successful logouts, failed logins, changes of passwords. If you want to set up file and folder auditing, you can do that. By default, the Windows operating system doesn't necessarily keep track of what's happening to to a file or folder. Whoops. So one of the things I could do, I accidentally moved that, is I could come into a file or folder, and I could, under the Advanced tab, nope, excuse me, it's under the Security tab, and then Advanced, you want to turn on auditing. And when you turn on auditing, it's going to show in the security event who accessed the folder. Did they change something in the folder? Did they delete a file? Did they add a file? All of those different things. And so if you have sensitive folders, sensitive files, turning on auditing can be very beneficial. Really, on a server, it can be really helpful, especially if you have shared files or folders. A lot of that stuff has been moved to the cloud, but it is a potential avenue as well. The setup is all about installing things and services on the machine, and so that can be a good place to look. The system is going to be very large. The system is going to show a wide variety of things. Services that have been started and stopped, you would find those in other places as well, potentially. Um, when the machine gets restarted, when the IP address on the machine changed, when certain things are being run or scanned, or really anything that happens on the operating system when it doesn't update. It's going to show that inside of the system. And so, if you're trying to investigate what happened on the on this machine, what time of the day did the machine get restarted? When did, I don't know, somebody clear the TPM module, which does the encryption? You can find that in that system event viewer. So this can be a really good place to look. Now, what some organizations will do is they will forward these events to a repository, and then they'll let AI or some sort of machine learning sift through these logs. They also, in that scenario, have a better search functionality. We can do a find over here, but it's a little bit difficult to search right within Windows. And so you can ship all of your logs to sometimes what's called a data lake, and then AI can sift and look through this and say, hey, it might pick up that, every day at 2 a.m. for the last week, the machine has restarted, and it never did that the month before. So it's looking for these anomalies, and it can trigger that for you. And now you can go and investigate and look. Or it can say on the application log, hey, this application that doesn't have a signature for a trusted publisher got installed on such and such a date, and then you could go and investigate that. So logging is very, very important to us, especially when we're trying to investigate compromise or investigate weird things happening on a computer, all of those different things. Scheduled tasks. If you do a quick search for task scheduler, I was just searching for scheduler, you will find the task scheduler, and this can be sometimes where the bad guys, if they get into your computer, will schedule a task for persistence or remote connectivity, or maybe it's a remote, I shouldn't say remote, but it's some sort of process that they want to kick off at a certain time or automatically or whatever it happens to be. You could find that in your task scheduler. So go into your task scheduler and see, what is happening with your machine. So every day here at 8:48 p.m., this Adobe CCX process is going to launch. Well, what the heck is that? Which user is created that? What's happening with this? I might have to kind of sift through these various tabs or do a little bit of Google research to see, what exactly is this thing. I can see what program it's starting. So at 8:48 every day, it's starting up the Adobe Creative Cloud Experience CCX process. Now I can, just kind of based off my experience and what I know that I have installed in my computer, I can, make an assumption that this is good. But if I know I don't have Adobe Creative Cloud installed, I should probably be asking myself, what's going on with this. And so that can be another place that you can look. Unauthorized changes, that kind of goes back to the event viewer. Same with unauthorized privileges. You might want to go in the event viewer and just sift through those security logs, sift through those event logs. The other thing I would say with that question of, hey, my computer's acting funny, can you take a look, is do some virus scans. Windows Defender is installed automatically on every single Windows device. It actually does do a very good job. It used to be not so good, but they have found a very good way of making it better and sending samples out to the cloud for analysis using AI and those sorts of things. So make sure this is turned on. You can do scans at will. I would highly recommend that you have all of these things turned on. In my opinion, and this is just me, I never pay for antivirus. I used to back before Windows Defender got really good. But this is integrated with the operating system. It comes from Microsoft. Microsoft should know how their operating system works, and so it should be able to protect you. And so for all of my personal computers and all of my clients, this is exactly what I use. There's things out there like Bitdefender and Kaspersky, and all of those. Those are good products. By all means, use one if you want to, but you don't necessarily have to. The other thing I would say about a paid antivirus service is after it's out of date, like you don't have a subscription anymore, get rid of it. It's not keeping you protected other than protecting you from old viruses. So there's a little bit of protection, but really all it's doing is consuming resources on your machine. Because how most anti-malware programs work is signature based. Something comes out like a new malware attack, a new ransomware virus, whatever it happens to be. And what the malware defenders or the companies will do is write some sort of signature that can detect that particular attack, and then in turn it can prevent that attack from happening. So most of them are signature based. Some are a little bit more advanced. When I was in the industry, we used a Palo Alto product called Cortex XDR, and I would say it was a little bit more advanced than, say, a Defender because it would actually keep baselines, and it would keep kind of track of what a user typically did day in, day out. And so if I never went to a particular site, a website, and all of a sudden one day I did, that would trigger alert. User Matt Freilich has never gone to this site in the last 30 days. Why is that? And this site, is based in China or Russia. That's a little funny. Or, the user, I don't know, accessed a file that hasn't been accessed in, 3 weeks. And so it's kind of keeping track of all those different things, behavioral analytics, as they're called, in the background. And if something's a little off, it would trigger that. User hasn't logged into the machine at 2 in the morning ever, and all of a sudden they did. That would be, an anomaly, and it could trigger on that. So there are, potential use cases for better anti-malware, antivirus software applications, but for the average user, I guess is what I'm saying, is the Defender typically works very, very well. So do those sorts of scans, keep them up to date. And if you need to maybe do a one-off scan, there are plenty of products that will just let you do a download and do another scan, some kind of like a second set of eyes other than Defender. So I used to do Malwarebytes quite a bit. It was a very good program. I actually haven't gone out there for a while and tried it and used it, but typically they would offer a free, it looks like they still do, a free download and device scan if you wanted to check that out. I'm pretty sure Bitdefender does as well. Whether you know it or not is in your monthly updates with Windows. Um, they include, oh, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's like the malicious software removal tool, I believe it's called, and it will, do scans in the background besides Defender for you. So make sure your Windows system is up to date. And then I'm going to end on this, a couple of commands that I have just kind of gotten in the habit of running, I would say on a monthly basis. The first is sfc/scan now. This is the system file checker. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at all of the system files, basically all the operating system files, and make sure that there's no corruption, make sure there's no integrity violations, essentially make sure your machine is running the way it should. There's no malware, there's no corruption, those sorts of things. And then after that is complete, there is another command which will scan and repair the operating system. DISM, that is like disk image system manager or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it stands for. /online, meaning we want to go out to the online repository. Dash cleanup image /restore health. And what that's going to do is it's going to look at the system image. It's going to compare it to, I believe, the one online, or if it needs to download things to clean up the operating system, we'll grab that from online. It's going to clean up the image and it's going to restore its health. And just by using these two commands, it's really, saved me some issues with my operating system. It's keeping it running in tip-top shape, and I can kind of rest assured knowing that I don't have any corruption or viruses or things like that on my machine. So I hope those help you. I know this wasn't super in depth, but just a couple of things you can look at, a couple things you can take a peek at. And again, a lot of this comes with time and with experience. And the more you do it, the more you'll get comfortable with it. The more you'll become familiar with what should and should not be on a Windows system. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.